Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. How are you? I'm Jana Ahmad Abdul Sadiq and today we'll talk about maths. Actually today we'll talk about the operations or the four operations, how to solve it in the radicals or the four operations on the real numbers. Okay? And also we'll talk about one example that says a rational number, how to convert it to rational number. So now I bring some examples to solve it together and how to solve the operations inside the radicals. Okay? So now let us solve the first example. The first example says that 5 radical 3 over 8 radical 5. Can we solve it? No, because it is a rational number. So now what we do, 5 radical 3 over 8 radical 5. Okay? We have this number. Now 5 radical 3 over 8 radical 5. It is a rational number, so that means we can't simplify it, but we can multiply by radical 5 the both to be a rational number. That means times radical 5 to be what? Here now what we have, 5 radical 3 times radical 5, 8 radical 5 times radical 5. Now, we know that 3 times 5 is equal to what? 15. That means 5 radical 15 over, we know that 8 times radical 5 times radical 5. Now radical 5 times radical 5 is equal to 5. Why? Because we know that if we make radical 5 squared, we will cut 2 by the radicals. So that means we have 5 only. That means it will be 8 times 5. Then the last answer, it will be 5 radical 5 over 8 times 5, what means? It will be 40. That means 5 radical 15 over 40. Now, can we simplify it? Yes, we can divide 5 over 40. That means by 40 here by 5, it will be by 8, and here by 1. So that means the last answer, it is radical 15 over 8. Okay, so that means the first question done. Okay, now let us go to the second question. Second question, it will be like little hard, but it's not hard to understand it. It is very easy. Okay, so now the first question, it says that 4 the power of negative 1 the whole of 4. Okay, it's easy. How can we make negative 1 times 4 or the whole of 4? And there is inside the bracket 4. Now, what we will do, we will solve first thing part by part. Now, let's solve the first part, that it is 4 the power of negative 1 the whole of 4. Now, what we have here, 4 the power of negative 1 the whole of 4. Now, which number can multiply itself to bring for us 4? 2, 3, 4, for itself. So that means between 2 or 3. 3 can't. 2. Because 2 times 2 is equal to 4. That means the square root of 4 is 2. That means what? Here 2. 2 squared times negative 1 the power of 4. Yes? So that means what? 2 times the negative 1, it will be 2. It will be negative 2. That means negative 2 times 4. Yeah? 2, negative 2, the whole of 4. Now, what we will do, we will make the formula that says A plus B, 1 over N or 1 over M is equal to what? A, no, I mean here times. It will be times. Yeah, it will be times. So that means A times B over N plus M or 1 over K. Okay? So now what do we do here? Negative 2 times 4, it will be negative 8. Okay? Negative 8, because 2 times 4, it will be 8. So the final answer for that, it will be 2 negative 8. Okay? So that means the first part, we solve it. Now we will write here what? 2 the power of negative 8. Now, the second part it says times 2 to the power of 5. Actually, it's already solved. 2 to the power of 5. Now, the second part it says times 1 over 16 the whole of 3. Now, 1 over 16, can we solve it? Can any number solve by 1? No. So that means it will be the bracket of 1 over 16 the whole of 3. Yeah? We can change 1 over 16, it's the same like 16 the power of negative 1. Yeah? The bracket of 16 the power of negative 1 bracket the whole of 3. Yes? I'm right or not? Yeah, it's correct. Now, 16 the power of negative 1 the whole of 3. Can we solve 16? Which number can multiply by itself to bring negative 1? We want the smallest number. We know that 4 times 4 is equal to 16. But 4, it have another number that what can be multiply itself to bring 4. And 4 times 4 it can be what? 16. But we want the smallest number. And how times it multiply itself to bring 16. So that means what? We'll make the easy way for the radical as we said before. 16 here by 2, it will be by 8. By 2, by 4, by 2, by 2, by 2, by 1. So that means how many 2 can multiply itself to bring 16? 1, 2, 3, 4. That means 4 times. 2 multiply itself 4 times will bring for us 16. So now what will we do here? 2 the power of 4 times negative 1 the whole of 3. So now what will we do? 4 times negative 1, it will be negative 4. Yeah? It will be here what? 2 the power of negative 4 the whole of 3. The same thing, we will make a negative 4 times 3 is equal to what? Negative 12. So that means the final answer will be 2 the whole of, the power of negative 12. Okay, this is the third part we solve it. Now the third part is what? 2 the whole number or the power of negative 12. Negative 12. Okay, now the fourth part it says what? 8 the power of negative 2 the whole of 5. Now here we have 8. What is the number that multiply itself and how many times to bring 8? We know that 4 times 2 is equal to 8. But what is the number that bring 4? That can multiply itself to bring 4? It's 2. That means 2. How many times we multiply 2 will give us 8? So that means what? Here we will make by 8 and here by 2, by 4, by 2, by 2, by 2, by 1. So how many times we have? 3. That means 2 will multiply by itself 3 times will give us 8. So now what we will do here? We will do the bracket of here 8 the power of negative 2 the whole of 5. It will be what we have here? 2. How many times? 3 times. That means 2 cube. 2 the power of 3 times negative 2 the whole of 5. Yes? Now 3 times negative 2 it will be negative 6. So that means what? 2 the power of negative 6 then the whole of 5. Now negative 6 times 5 what it will be? 2 the power of negative 30. 2 the power of negative 30. This is the final answer for the fourth part. That means the fourth part it is what? 2 the power of negative 30. Okay? Now 64 the power of 2 the whole of 3. Now 64. What is the number that multiply itself and how many times will give us 64? Okay, now we know that 8 times 8 is equal to 64 and 4 times 2 will give 8 and 2 times 2 will give us 4. So there's a relation. That means 64 it can be divided by 2. We'll make the easy way for radicals. That means 64 here by 2. How many times here it will be? 332. Okay, by 2 again. How many times? It will be by 16, by 2, by 8, by 2, by 4, by 2, by 2, and then by 2, by 1. Okay, now how many times 2 can multiply itself to bring 64? Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means 2 will multiply itself 6 times, will bring for us 64. Now that means what? Here 64, the power of 2 times, I mean the whole of 3. Now what will we have? Here we have 6 times, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means 2, the power of 6 times 2, the whole of 3. Now 6 times 2 is equal to what? 12, yeah? So here what will be? 2, the power of 12 times, or the whole of 3. That means 12 will times 3, it will be 36. The final answer for the fifth part, it will be 2 the power of 36. Okay, now what we have here? 2 the power of 36. Now, what we have common here in all of the parts? 2, yeah? Here 2 the power of negative 2, 2 times 2 the power of 5 times 2 the power of negative 12 times 2 the power of negative 30 times 2 the power of 36. That means 2 is the common between all of the parts. That means what we will do, we will add all of the exponents together and times 2. Okay? Now, what we will do here, what we have, how many parts will add their exponents together. What we have here, the first part, it is 2 the power of negative 8, yeah? Times what? 2 the power of 5. Times what? 2 the power of negative 12. 2 the power of negative 12. Times what again? 2 the power of negative 30. Negative 30 times 2 the power of 36. 36, okay? Now, what we have here common? 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. That means the common is what? 2. Now, what we will do? We'll add the exponents together. That means we'll make 2 out of the bracket. We'll open a bracket and we'll make negative 8 plus 5. Then what? Negative 12, negative 30 plus 36. Okay? So now, what we will do? Negative 8 plus 5, it will be negative 3. And we have here negative 12. That means what? 3 plus 12, it will be negative 15. Negative 15. And we have here negative 30 plus 36. Now, 15 plus 30, how much? Here it will be 4, 5. That means negative 45 plus 36. Then what we make? We make them subtract. That means negative 40 minus, 40, it will be minus 36. Because the bigger here what we have, negative. Already we'll make it subtract. But we'll take the sign that in front or behind the number that it's what? Bigger. So that means 45 is bigger than 36. And 45 have a negative sign. So that means it will be the answer negative what? 45 minus 36. It will be how many? 45, if we do here 45 by 36, it will be 9. So that means negative 9. It's the exponent, not the final answer. That means we have already 2 outside of the bracket. So that means 2 the power of negative 9. This is the final answer for the second question. Okay? Now let us go for the third question. The third question is have 2 radicals for one number. How it can solve, how can we solve 2 radicals for one number? We can use 2 ways for it. Now, what the question says? It says the fourth radical, the cube root of 7. Okay? So now, what we'll make here? We have radical, here the fourth root of the cube root of 7. Yeah? So how will we solve it? How will we solve that? We'll make here what? 7 in the bracket of 1 over 3. That means we will cancel the radical of, the cube root of 7. That means what? The fourth root of bracket 7, 1 over 3, the whole of 1 over 3. Yeah? Okay. We'll make the same thing for the fourth root. That means what? It will be bracket 7, the whole of 1 over 3, another bracket 1 over 4. Okay? Now, what we have here, we can make 3 times 4. It will be 12. That means 3, 3 times 4, it will be 12. If it's 1 over 3 and 1 over 4, it will be 1 over 12. That means what? Bracket 7, the whole of 1 over 12. This is the final answer. It can be also by the radical, that means the 12th root of 7. Yeah, like this. The 12th root of 7. This is the final answer for the third question. Okay? Now, the fourth question is about radicals, how to subtract it and how to add it. But first thing, we'll make the numbers smaller by the easy way. Now, what will we do here? Radical, first thing we'll take the first part. First part, what we have here? 176. Radical 176. Radical 176. Yeah, we'll make here the easy way to solve it. This means 176. What will be? It can be divided by 2. That means by 2 here. It will be by 16. That means by 8. And again by 8. By 2, by 44, by 2, by 22, by 2, by 11. So that means what? 2 and 2 to be 2 here. To be 2, that means what we have? 4 times 11 will give us 176. Or not actually 4 times 11. It will be here. We'll make out 4 and inside 11 it will remain. That means what? That means 4 times 4 is equal to 16. And 16 times 11 is equal to 176. Yeah? So now, the first part we solve it. What will be? 4 radical 11. Okay? 4 radical 11. That means we'll put here 4 radical 11. Okay? Minus 2. 2 is alone. So that means we'll take the radical 275. 275, we know that it will be 25 times 11. And the square root of 25, it is 5. But we have 2 outside, that means 5 times 2 is equal to 10. After that, it will be 10 radical 11. 10, we will erase 2 because it's already multiplied by 5. So that means it will be 4 radical 11 minus 10 radical 11. Okay? Now, what we have here? Plus. Plus what? We have 1584. Now, how it can be? It can be by simplifying by the easy way. If you want to see if it's the answer or not, it will be 144 times 11. And the square root of 144, it is 12. So that means 12 will go out and 11 it will be inside the radical. That means plus 12 radical 11. Now, the last part, it is negative radical 891. The radical of 891. We know that 81 times 11, it will be 891. And you can check it by the easy way of the radicals. So that means it will be what? What is the square root of 81? It is 9. 9 times 9 is equal to 81. So that means 9 will go out and 11 will be inside the radical. That means it will be negative 9 radical 11. Okay, now in all of the parts, what we have the common number, it is radical 11. So that means radical 11 will be out of the bracket. Radical 11 out of the bracket. Then inside the bracket, what we have? 4. That means 4 minus 10 plus 12 minus 9. Yeah, here. Okay. So now 4 minus 10, it will be negative 6. Negative 6. plus 12. Can you see? Yes. Negative 6 plus 12, it will be what? 6 only. So that means what will be? What we have? 6 minus 9. Bracket of radical 11, of course. It will be what? 6 minus 1, 6 minus 9, it will be negative 3. Yes? In bracket, of course, times radical 11. So the final answer for this question, it will be negative 3. Negative 3 times radical 11. Or it can be radical 11 times negative 3. Here, negative 3 times radical 11. It can be also radical 11 times negative 3. But the main, it's negative 3 times radical 11. Because we know that AB is the same like BA. It doesn't matter, okay? So that was the last answer for the last question, question number 4. Okay? I hope that you know how to solve the operations, the 4 operations, that is multiplication, subtraction, addition, and division in these radicals, or how to convert. Also, the first question, it was saying about how to convert the irrational number to rational number, because 5 over 8 we can solve it, and radical 3 over radical 5 we can solve it. That means we multiply both of them by the denominator number. When I times the numerator and denominator by radical 5, that's because what we have here, radical 5. So that means 5 radical 3 times radical 5, 8 times radical 5 times radical 5. But in place of radical 5, if there was radical 6, I multiply the both by radical 6. Okay, so that was the main purpose for the first question, that to convert irrational to rational. And the 3 questions and the 3 left questions, it was about how to solve on converting radicals. Also, the third question, it was converting the radicals, if it's by the whole of or by radical itself. And the second and the fourth questions, it was talking about like the operations inside it, the exponents, we add and subtract them together, and we make the numbers common. That means 2. It is a common for what? Negative 9. And here, question number 4, as we simplify the radicals to multiply the final answer. Okay, and like to solve, subtract, and addition in this question. So that was about the operations on the real number. I hope that you benefit from this video, and inshallah we'll make more questions about more topics and we'll solve it together. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Goodbye.